자, 오늘도 9월 20일자 국내 영어신문 세계에서 스크랩은 글을 또 한 문장씩, 제목과 한 문장씩을 한번 읽어보겠습니다. When parenting becomes too costly, in Korea, children who put financial pressure on their parents by asking them to buy expensive, trendy items for them are called bracket breakers. What best fills in the blank? Backbone, wallet, leg, heart. backbone breaker 같은데. Young Koreans are quick to recognize and respond to new trends, although this trait had some merits. It also has downside. Coupled with materialism, peer pressure, and showy consumption, many feel they need to possess certain trendy items like the sneakers, backpacks, or high-end puffer jacket made by expensive brand in order to blend in with their friends. This phenomenon gave rise to the widely used slang term 등골 breaker. 등골 breaker, which combined the Korean word for spine or backbone, 등골, and the English word breaker, translating into financial backbone breaker. Golden apples, why fruit prices are national issue in early autumn. Retailers, distributors seek to offset impact of extreme weather on apples and pears to ensure bountiful Chuseok gift and tables. This year, the price of apples are some 50% higher than the same period last year, dampening the mood of those who sought to make a hearty table for their ancestors. Navigating financial forecasting, who to trust? Circling back to the question of those forecasts our clients should trust, we think that while some bankers report a more accurate track record, finding a consistent winner is rare. In the world of finance, uncertainty is a constant companion. Fiancé's co-worker puts on a show. Dear Abby, my fiancé and I went to his co-worker Tina's house on a Friday night to socialize and play trivia games. Blind spot. 복지 사각지대. 복지 얘기를 지금 하려고 하는 건데. The police said they cannot identify the exact age of the child since there is no official birth record registered with authorities. U.S. Fed wants to cool spending. Strike students' loans may add ice. U.S. Federal Reserve officials who have tentatively embraced the possibility they can squelch inflation without a recession meet this week with an auto worker strike, a possible federal government shutdown, and the student loan squeeze on consumers, posing new risk to that best case outcome. The United Auto Workers launched a strike against all three major automakers on Friday, with an initial workout of around 13,000 employees at three plants, but those numbers could grow. A worrisome gap, a bigger shortfall in tax revenue outlook lays bare projection issues. South Korea's tax revenue shortfall for 2023 is now estimated to stand at 59 trillion won, according to newly revised government data, the biggest in years. Rulemaking in a divided world, much to China's satisfaction. The long-standing dominance of the G7, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the United Kingdom, the US, plus the EU, that seem to be under weakening. General education classes strengthen democracy. Exposure to a variety of disciplines, ideas, and people enriches individual lives as well as the health of society as a whole. What drove Korea's once revered teachers to despair? On decline of teachers' authority, experts point to rule changes regarding student rights, reliance on private education, overprotective parents, traumatized by past teacher abuse. The recent deaths of teachers in apparent suicide have laid bare the dark reality of schools, where educators are not only losing respect from students and parents, but also control of their classrooms. Writers deserve more for contribution to AI success. How does an AI seem to know them so well? Living LA, center of Korean diaspora community, I was besieged by the spectacular accomplishment of Korean Americans who built Little Korea in LA. In this epiphany, I felt full of pride for them. Shortfall in tax revenue adds to economic woes. An overestimation in tax revenue is more problematic because the government will fall short of budget. Protracted economic uncertainties are adding to concerns over the government's inaccurate estimation of yearly tax revenue, as the tax revenue for 2023 is expected to be 59 trillion won, less than the initial forecast made by the government. OECD slashes China's growth outlook in 2023-2024. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development slashed its 2023 economic growth outlook for China to 5.1% Tuesday, down from 5.4% in the previous forecast made in June. The Paris headquartered organization also lowered the next year's growth forecast for the world's second-largest economy from 5.1% to 4.6%. Tiffany and the company reveals sparkly new Seoul plant. CEO says it focuses on balancing the modern traditional. Global luxury jewelry jeweler Tiffany and Company's series of innovative moves this year is catching the eyes of global luxury industry insiders and fashion leaders as it opens new stores in major cities for the first time since being acquired by luxury goods giant LVMH for $15.8 billion in January 2021. OECD keeps Korea's growth forecast at 1.5%. Inflation and slowing Chinese growth cited as deciding factors. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, kept Korea's growth forecast steady at 1.5% from its earlier estimate in June, citing uncertainties caused by inflation and slowing Chinese growth. Speaker McCarthy running out of options. Washington. Speaker Kevin McCarthy was running out of options Monday as he pushed ahead with a plan to keep the federal government from shutting down, but even including hardline border security provisions wasn't enough to appease the far-right flank in its Republican House of the majority, no longer the pawn in chess. The situation surrounding the Korean Peninsula sounds the alarm. To what extent would China accept the vast geopolitical chances in Northeast Asia? The prosperity of Korea today was possible as it stood on the side of liberal democracy with the help of the United States. Looking at the current miserable situation in the North, no further explanation is necessary. Of course, our national power has grown significantly, incomparable to that in the late Joseon dynasty. Once a pawn on the chessboard swayed by powers, Korea is now playing a game of geopolitical chess with powerful countries. Why young people keep flocking to the Seoul? No decent job opportunities. Most of my friends, including myself, came to Seoul after graduating from university, said a 26-year-old office worker who came to Seoul and started living in the capital in 2020. Before coming to Seoul, he lived all his life in Gwangju, South Chungcheong, 160 kilometers south of Seoul. I also thought about having a job back in my hometown, but there was nothing I wanted to do. The office worker said he's never thought about coming to Seoul in his entire life. He once thought about becoming a public official in Gwangju, but ultimately decided to come to Seoul after he realized that was not what he wanted to do for a living. Excluding jobs related to public institutions, there weren't many options for him at home. Social media, social comparison. What accelerates the influence of social media is Koreans' cultural tendency toward collectivism. The list goes on. I'd like to add another reason why Koreans, do not get married. More of a cultural and psychological one. Social media and social comparison. Social media today often portrays idealized versions of marriage and relationship, which can lead to unrealistic expectation and the fear of lagging behind, discouraging some individual from tying the knot. Huge tax hole. Populistic tax cuts destroy economy fiscal health. Yet the weak growth and the slowing housing market had been expected. One official of the Ministry of Economy and Finance did not acknowledge were the harmful effects of tax cuts on the overall economy and fiscal health. The Yoon administration's tax cuts for the top 1% on the income ladder will reduce revenue by 6 trillion won this year alone. Only a tiny share of it will be reinvested or spent to bolster the economy.